Hello guys, what's up? It's Asif here again. Now, global shutter. Do you guys know about the global shutter? And that's a problem for Canon at this point of time. Because if you ask a person that what is the best mirrorless camera company at this point of time of 2025, someone say Sony, someone say Canon. Yes, no one will say Nikon for sure. So for someone is Canon first, for someone Sony is first. Okay, so Canon is fast, Sony is fast. They both are the same. Their highest level camera is the Canon EOS R1 and the Sony Alpha 9 Mark III, but they have huge differences. Previous year, when there was no global shutter, then the differences were like 20 fps, 25 fps, 30 fps. But at this point of time, because of the global shutter, the differences goes 40 fps versus 120 fps at full ape tracking. Do you understanding that? 40 versus 120 fps. Yes. Canon is offering a 40 fps, Sony is offering 120 fps. So why you'll buy the Canon R1 instead of the Sony Alpha 9 Mark III at the same price point? That's the question, and that's the problem for Canon also, because they are relying on the stacked CMOS sensor, but the stacked CMOS sensor has the limitation of 40 fps, and Canon is also stacked with the 40 fps. Although 40 fps is quite awesome, it is the fastest stacked CMOS sensor at this point of time, but if you are getting 120 fps at the same price point, then why you'll get a 40 fps camera? That's the question, and that hunts Canon every single day. It's not like that Canon cannot produce the global shutter. They have that in their arsenal. Now, if you remember 2016, Canon released Canon C700, a global shutter camera, but the price point is $40,000. Can you imagine it? $40,000 price tag. And right now, Sony is giving the same at $5,000 to $6,000 price tag. That's the problem. Canon can do that, but they don't have that kind of R&D. They actually didn't do that kind of R&D at this point of time. Now they have to get up and do something, but the problem is that Sony goes far off than them. Sony is actually 1 to 2 years ahead of Canon because they already developed a working global shutter, and the Sony Alpha 9 Mark III is awesome. Awesome. Now you can argue that, wait a minute, with a global shutter, the dynamic range will not be as great as the fully stacked CMOS sensor. Yes, there will be more noise at higher ISO. But remember, the R1 and the Alpha 9 Mark III, they are creating to shoot wildlife sports. And also remember, every single one will shoot them at raw. So you have post processing in your hand. You can do some noise reduction at a great extent, and and for high speed The dynamic range is not often big issue. That's a big issue for landscape photography, but for wildlife it's not an big issue. So that's why the Sony Alpha 9 Mark III is far greater than the Canon EOS R1. Now Canon saying that they are doing something. They are trying to get a global shutter on their R1 Mark II. Probably it will come in our hand in the first quarter of 2026, and there are many rumors saying that Canon can give us a global shutter on that particular camera. If everything goes as per plan or as per Canon saying, then it will be very good, because at the last Sony will get a hard competitor to compete on, because at this point of time there is no competition for Sony. Sony have all of the market in that particular area. If you need a great high speed camera for professional wildlife and sports photography, the Sony Alpha 9 Mark III is the way to go. And Sony also covers all of the needed lenses. Sony is giving you that at the same price point as Canon. Now there are many who are actually saying that Sony lenses might be a little bit better than Canon at some point of time. So Sony has the lens, Sony has the camera, Sony has the technology. That's the problem for Canon. And Canon is working. Canon is working really hard, because in the upcoming 1 year, if they cannot produce any global shutter in the R1 Mark II or a new bunch of line of camera they will call it, then they will be out of the market as like Nikon. Nikon is holding a little bit, but Canon actually sharing 30 to 40%. Sony is also sharing 30 to 40%. But if they cannot do this, and somehow Sony can produce a global shutter in the lower price tag, the Sony Alpha 1 series, the Sony A7 IV, 75, 76 series, then that will be very bad for Canon, because they will catch up at the higher limit. At the point, Sony will catch up all of the limitation. That's the problem Canon is facing, and that's why there are a couple of news that Canon will release the Canon EOS. Canon will release the Canon EOS R1 Mark II with a global shot. Now, if that comes true, then I'll be happy. I will be happy more than anything. Now, let's hope for the best. Let's see what we can find in the Canon EOS R1 Mark II. As per the news, it will come in first quarter 2026, but I don't know. I don't know, because to create a workable global shutter at 5,600 or $6,000 price tag for Canon is actually really tough, but not impossible, because they achieved the impossible quite a few times in the past. They can do that again. At least I think they will not gonna sit down without doing anything and let watch everyone goes like Nikon did. I think they will do something. Hope for the best, and bye. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned in this channel for more camera photography, videography related news.